Good evening folks, and welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to ALCHEMOTO and the Garage series. And obviously the reason you're watching this is because we're back with the cb400t Dream fuel tank restoration. So if you've watched the previous vlog on this series, you will know that we had some major dents to the tank, and we have been using a couple of dent pullers to try and pull those out. Now, previously, obviously this is my home workshop. I have used different pullers in the past in different workshops, but not with these items. These are ones that I thought I'd buy to try this in my home workshop. So what we used is, we used two of these bridge pullers, and we also used the slide hammer, which is there. Okay. So we're going to do a quick run through and tell you how those performed. So if we just come a little bit closer, and we'll show you the first bridge puller, which these are only cheap, by the way. They're only probably about, I don't know, $25, 20 English UK pounds. And the first one, as you can see, it has the swivel feet on this for going down different angles on any bodywork of a vehicle. And what happened with this one, it broke off. Obviously the pressure of the dent where it was folded in was too much for the bridge puller. You can actually see COVID, you can actually see how it's bent the bar. Okay, so that one, might as well throw it in the trash. Okay, so that brings us to the second one, which we purchased, which had the double bar, double brace system. Okay, and also uses the sort of a little notch collar there where your studs go on and glued onto the bodywork to pull out. As you compress that, obviously that's going to pull out. But what I found with it is the glue is not strong enough for certain dents. If you're using it on a dent on, say, car bodywork where the panel's a lot bigger and the dent is quite flexible because the steel's quite thin, I don't think you'll have a problem with these and the glue will hold. When you've got a crease in the tank, the steel is actually stronger, so to pull that out, this isn't going to cut it. On the previous vlog, you would have seen me using the slide hammer to some success. You know, we really got a good pull on that before it broke the glue. But what we had to do is we had to heat the panel up once the glue was on and let that cool down again the second time for it to get a grip. So the slide hammer was the best option. So, out of all of those three, I wouldn't use the first one. This one is the later model, so it comes with a dual adapter here with the twin bar assembly, and these are just readily available off your worldwide auction site. Worth having in the toolkit, by the way, but not good enough for this. The slide hammer, I recommend the slide hammer. But I also recommend getting the welding stud kit for doing the tanks and not even bothering with them if you're going to undertake these repairs. But what I did find is, when I did pull the tank out to a certain extent, is we found some pinholes in the tank. And on the inside of the tank was quite a bit of rust. So where the dent had gone in and created a crease on the inside, the tank then has been left for years and years and years. And where the rust was, when we pulled it out, it actually broke through and we had pinholes down it. So that wasn't good at all. It's not going to hold fuel, so what is the point? So where we're up to with this, because we had the pull of the dent and the crease and the holes as well, there was only one option to do. So where are we up to with the tank? Well, today's vlog brings us to, are you ready for this? We cut out the rot. So by cutting out the rot now has enabled us to see inside the tank, see how bad it is, which fortunately isn't too bad at all. That's the only area where it broke through. The rest of the tank looks pretty good. We've been around it all inside with a endoscope as well, so we've inspected it inside, so I can't see any other problems. But there was no point in carrying on with that repair where the steel had gone thin on the inside. You'd have just been chasing shadows. So, piece of sheet steel, purchased locally, which is 1mm thick, which is exactly the same as the tank, although it feels thinner. I thought it was 0.8 at first, but it is actually 1mm. We made a paper template Okay, from the cutout on that. And we transferred the paper template over to the steel. Cut it out from there. And now that leaves us with this. So we're just in the process of shaping the steel over now. So we'll just give that a trial fit. Okay. And you can see now how we're just getting this shape on the profile of the tank. So that should effect a pretty super repair on that once we've got the weld on. And if we just give you a look inside the tank, you can see where the rust demons had attacked it. If we get some light in there for you, and you just see we've got to treat that. That's not a problem, that's only surface scale. And that's just from the age of the tank. So we're not too worried about that. So we're going to go ahead now and just profile that steel just a tad more, get that shape right, and then go ahead and then get that tack welded in at least tonight, if not seam welded. And after that, obviously, we're going to do the leak test on it. So I'm quite happy with that. It's going to be a hell of a lot better with the repair. We know there's not going to be a big lump of filler on there like there was before. So for a professional job, for the enthusiast and the owner of this tank, I feel it's a better process to do for him. Knowing that he's not got a tank full of filler underneath. Instead, we're going to go for that profiled new steel. And anyway, the only way of finding out now is to crack on and see how it turns out. So stay with me, folks. So we've moved on a little bit since the last shot. We've actually put the piece in and we've MIG welded it together. Or let's be more precise with this, we've mag welded it together because we're using the inert gas with CO2 and argon. And it's gone on quite well, very happy with it. We've just got a couple of little filling places now to grind down and then we're more or less there. So we'll just show you where we are so far. Okay, so as you can see, we've put the piece in. We've seam welded it around. Now, when I say seam welding, because it's only 1mm, we can't put a proper bead weld on. Let's just shut this welder down because it's going to affect the sound on the video. What we can't do is, even though we've got the welder set down to, I think it's B3 on the welder. Now, I am using, let's just show you the equipment, a Lincoln welder, Lincoln Electric SP170 30 to 175 amp range. We're set now on definitely on B3, which is a setting for 1mm steel. We're using a standard mild steel wire. All the settings for my welder are on here, and then the bottle I'm using is the it's called R-Mix, which is the argon CO2 mixture. Okay, so flipping back to the previous shots where we put that on, we'll just put you a picture on now of it with the weld. Now ignore that the weld doesn't look so pretty, because when you're using a spot type weld you have to use it on spot, because if you seam welding on one mil you're in danger of burning through. And obviously with the cut out piece and the new piece in, what we don't want to do is put a nice bead and suddenly get a burn through, because you end up filling another hole. We want to be edge to edge on this plate to make sure we've less chance of getting any leaks. So the whole thing has been half spot welded over, so that's one spot, half over that spot, half over again and half over again. And quite happy with what we've done so far, as I've just said. You can see now how we've got the shape right back there. So it's absolutely fantastic with no ridges there. It's on the level. It's slightly, very, very slightly, probably 0.5 now. We put the ruler over that. We can see, in fact, we'll show you. Now, I'll just use a bendy ruler for this. So you can see now over the profile, we've got the profile just a tad at the bottom, probably maybe 1 mil at the bottom. So maybe 1 millimeter maximum in places on the profile, which has got to have a skimming over it anyway. Now the whole tank, when it's finished, will have a skimming of fillet and then down, and that's just to take any slight undulations off from the steel work. And there's not many in it now apart from the repaired areas. So, as I say, there's no point in doing the leak test until you're absolutely certain that you've got that beading right. Now on grinding down, and the reason, obviously you've got to clean the welds up anyway, but you can find any pinpricks you've got in this steel, and I found one right here. Okay, we've got the big wire, and we've got one there. So we're going to spot that one in. This is level, but we're going to fill that, and this little tiny bit underneath the bottom here, we're just going to put a little fillet in here and a little fillet in here, grind that down, sand it down, and we should be ready to go. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the welder going. Okay folks, well, it's looking good so far now. All we've got is this final corner. We're just going to put a little fillet down there and just a little fillet in here. But we've got to be careful now, because we don't want the heat to pull the steel in. We need to just spot and let it cool, spot and let it cool. Now there's no holes or anything here now, we're just using it as a bit of a filling to get rid of this line. I don't want to take it down any further, because with 1 mil, if we keep sanding, we're taking it down to, you know, 0.9, 0.8, 0.7 and so forth. So I can just feel a little across there, absolutely fine, and I could just feel a little tiny V. Now we could fill that, but we're just going to spot it down there and across here, and then take that down again with a sander, and I think we're nearly there. So let's go ahead. Now for this, I'm going to try and take that down to A and leave the gas on 3. So of course now we've re-welded this all we've done is gone over with the welder set at lower setting, and we don't want any distortion, so we're going to take these down now and see if we can just fill them lines in. That's all it's for, is a filler. It's not as a weld, so it doesn't have to be exact. So we're going to go ahead now and sand it with the air sander, which is the same roll lock discs with the, you know, the finishing discs on. Take that down and see if we can get rid of those lines. So let's go ahead. Okay, right, so we've gone ahead, we've sanded that down as best as we could, and I've got one little line over to the right hand side of the tank which we've just zoomed in on. I'll show you again. Not going to go any further with that because it's going to have a skim and a filler over that side anyway, and that'll just act as a key. No need to fill that anymore. We've got the bottom edge in and all around the top, so absolutely super happy with that. So the level of that now is absolutely perfect with the existing tank over the top here. We've got the line back. Again, she's about 0.5 mil under the steel. Perfect for going over with the skimming. We've got the edge back there, which is again in line with existing steel work. And the only one we've got is where this was put underneath the tank. We've got a slight line here, which is fully sealed, but there's no point in spotting this in now. So there's a very, very slight pull just in there, which we're going to just skim across into this bit, so it's very, very slight, and the same with the bottom edge now. So we're going to go ahead now and do a leak test on this. So we'll plug the bottom of the tank and we'll fill that with a solution. You probably noticed with the pictures when we had the piece off that there's a very, very slight rust coating inside the tank. Now we've got a solution that we're going to put inside that anyway, and then swill that out, and then that'll turn the rust black, and then we'll put a sealer inside it as well, just to be on the safe side. But for now, we're going to do the test, and we're going to leave that overnight, and then fingers crossed we'll get ready for the skimming stage, and then hopefully then we're not too far away from the paint stage. So up to now, what have we learned? We've learned that the dent pullers for 25-30 pounds off eBay maybe work on some work, but not worth buying unless you want to pull out a dent on the side of a car door or something like that. So if you're going to do that sort of work, I think the best thing to do is to get the small one with a small welding gun which welds the studs to the tank. That's the best thing you can use. But again, with old steel, as I found out, it's so easy to blow through. So the easiest way is, as I say, to cut any damaged section out and weld it in. It saves so much time. So hope you've enjoyed watching that so far. So the next episode, what we're going to do is put a skimming over that and sand that down and get this thing ready for paint. So thank you for watching, and see you next time, folks.